I think most of us in Vikings Nation were waiting for news on cornerback Duke Shelley. Is he going to come back? Of course he's going to come back. It's not a matter of if the news is going to drop, but when. And alas, we finally have an update. He is headed to Vegas. He signed with the Las Vegas Raiders, and needless to say, this sucks, a fan favorite. And in the midst of the welcome mat of a defense last year, 2022, Duke Shelley stood out and immediately turned heads in that Buffalo game overtime. Josh Allen passed to Dawson Knox in the end zone, pass broken up by Duke Shelley. That Bills game, we automatically think of the catch or at the goal line, the forced fumble recovered for a touchdown. But that play made by the 5'9" Shelley on a 6'4" tight end should not get lost in the shuffle. That was a big deal. Clutch as hell. One of the reasons that led to the Vikings upsetting the Bills to win that game. Initially, I thought he was great in shorter fields, especially in the red zone, a bit undisciplined playing end to end, but he quickly fixed all that. All in all, 11 games played, 5 starts in 2022. Allowed a 46% completion rate, 8 pass breakups, 1 interception, 0 touchdowns allowed. And it's not like he was chilling while quarterbacks were avoiding the island. They were going after him and didn't get scored on once. That's incredible. The swagger, the energy. It's easy to see why he was a fan favorite and why we wanted him back. But he's gone now on a team-friendly deal. It's super annoying that he's playing elsewhere. At the same time, Brian Flores, he's given the blueprint to the Vikings front office as far as what he wants defensively. Presumably, Flores gave the thumbs down on Shelley. So be it. Wish him well in Vegas. Switching gears here. With the moves made thus far in free agency, I think it comes down to wide receiver or defensive line for the Vikings in the first round. There's always the off chance that they trade up for a quarterback, but I just don't see that happening. That means you're going to have to give up this year's first as well as next year's, at least, maybe even more. And you wouldn't make your next selection until the third round. With so many weaknesses that need tending to, trading up for a quarterback, and not just a quarterback, any position for that matter, for this team right now just doesn't make sense. But wide receiver, defensive line. Justin Jefferson is great, best receiver in football. But relying on him to be a superhero while facing nonstop crowded coverage with a wide receiver too who's at best decent, that's football malpractice on the defensive line. If the plan is to have Dean Lowry as a starter, you're going to have problems. And that's assuming that Khyiris Tonga could be a quality starter. You might need two. And I've talked receiver prospects plenty. Now I want to talk about 2 defensive line prospects that I could see being realistic options for the Vikings in the first round. And I want to start with Brian Brizzi out of Clemson. 6'5", 298 pounds. The man is a locomotive. When he gets past his man and into the backfield, he has enough of a motor to stay in the play when the ball is going outside. And I love off the snap, he just goes into the instant sled drill, just makes contact and drives. I would like to see some versatility in his attack mode instead of simply trying to push his way past the line of scrimmage, but I think coaching can remedy that. Now I want to talk about Kalijah Kancey out of Pitt. Perhaps undersized in terms of height, listed at 6'1", but in weight, he's 281 pounds. So just shy of the 285 ballpark that you typically see from NFL 3-4 defensive linemen. Had 7.5 sacks last season. Pitt ran a 4-3 base. In a 3-4 base defense, that's probably not going to happen. But I tell you what, the most impressive skill set of his is the get-off. The way that he launches off the line of scrimmage and makes that initial contact with his blocker, set hut, launch, pow. He's versatile, has a plethora of moves that he can use at his disposal upon engagement. And I think it's imperative for Vikings athletic trainer Uriah Miri to work with Kancey in order to add a little more bulk to his frame if the Vikings drafted him, of course. I personally would take Kancey over Brizzi, but I don't think you can go wrong either way. Now, back to the subject at hand. Wide receiver versus defensive line. The Vikings, they're on the clock. Say that Zay Flowers is available at the wide receiver spot, and on defensive line, Kalijah Kancey, or maybe you prefer Brian Brizzi. What do you do? Me personally, I'm going with Zay Flowers. Zay all day, although it's debatable. Susan Miller says, take the best defensive player or wide receiver with the first round pick, trade Cook and Za'Darius with Atlanta, who was inquiring about Cook for their second, and take Hooker there. So this fits perfectly into what I was just talking about. Do you take wide receiver or defensive line? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Would Atlanta accept a combo of Dalvin Cook and Za'Darius Smith? If so, if that gets you a second round pick, then you absolutely take it. And on the subject of Hendon Hooker, the thought was, okay, you can get him in the third round, but I'm starting to think it's more and more likely wherever he goes is going to be in the second round. Isaac Aguilar says, I'm sure I butchered your name, my apologies. Hooker is not even good. He's old. His knee might as well got Carson Strong last year. Okay, 58 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 2 years at Tennessee playing in the SEC, the Southeastern Conference, where they produce nonstop NFL defensive talent, but he's not good. This agenda against Hendon Hooker is sick. It's crazy. It's hilarious, but that's just what it is. Lastly, Jeremy M. says, how do you know Lamar can't play in similar offense to Cousins? He hasn't been given the opportunity. Maybe the Ravens offensive coordinator was wrong all these years, and Lamar can be a Josh Allen type of passer. If it was me, I would go get a 26-year-old MVP quarterback and try to get a Super Bowl. Well, no, I don't know for sure whether he could fit into the Kirk Cousins offense or not in Minnesota. However, I do have a gut feeling, Jeremy M., that if he could maybe be the Josh Allen type of quarterback that you're suggesting, whereas not only he's a scrambler, but he's picking apart defenses with his arm, Baltimore, they would have made that happen already. They would have built an offense like that for Lamar Jackson. Especially the dude is taking hits left and right. You think they want to see their star player who has missed 10 games the last 2 years? You think they want to see him get hurt consistently the way that they have? No. If it was possible, it would have been done already.